Hey there, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jamie, and we're your co-hosts for Two Clicks in a Pod.
Join us as we explore our missed times, stories, and memories due to divorce and a 1,000-mile separation.
I can't wait. You ready to get into it, Kev?
I am. Hey, Jamie, you think they're going to swear?
Oh, yeah. Consider yourselves warned. I don't really like doing these on the days where you're returning home from a trip. I feel like you're very out of sorts sometimes. Not in a bad way, just like, coming home, probably trying to unload and just jumping right in. So,
yeah, it is. I agree. That is hard. I totally understand that statement because.
So I appreciate you.
Yeah. Leaving on Thursday night, we drove halfway just to get some out of the way. And then then the other half in the next morning. So had good quality time with Shane on Friday afternoon and the kiddos that evening, Friday, Saturday, all day Sunday. They didn't go to school today, but they did head to their daycare center this morning after we left. But good weekend, long weekend.
Yeah, I didn't even know you were. I didn't know you were going. Was that a spontaneous trip, or had this been planned?
We had talked about it. I was trying to get there the previous weekend when Suzanne was running home to visit her mother and decided not to go, which worked out better. It sounded like the kids had a lot to do that weekend, where we kind of bailed on that last minute, Shane and I, in talking. So we pushed it to this past weekend. So with the kids being out on Monday, Suzanne was out of school on Monday, so we could hang out there all day Saturday and Sunday and not have to worry about travel.
What was the reasoning behind no school today?
I think it was. I don't think it was a holiday. I think it just had to be a work day or something. I don't know. What is it?
Today is September the 23rd. I don't know. The 23rd.
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer your earlier question, I'm back off the wagon.
I see that.
I just kind of, not like I'm still not nearly as much as I was over the summer. I just got here. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a glass of white wine.
I was tempted all weekend with those three kiddos and how hard we played all day, but I put it in other vices. I had some chips and hot sauce, and after Tilly's soccer game, we went to McDonald's. I had a cheeseburger.
Oh, Dad.
So, yeah.
You went off the rails.
I did.
Was it a good Mickey D's cheeseburger? Just like a plain cheeseburger, or did you go like Big Mac or something?
We went with I didn't go that big. I just went to the double cheeseburger. So
double.
Double cheeseburger, because they had last Wednesday was National Cheeseburger Day.
Was it?
Yes. So I went all day Wednesday counting my calories and all my fats, and then Wednesday night we went and ordered. You could get a double cheeseburger for 50 cents at McDonald's. So I had two McDonald's cheeseburgers last week, Wednesday and Saturday.
2 singles or 2 doubles?
Double cheeseburgers. They're not very big.
But you had 2 of those, or those? Well, they're not big.
Well, I had that. I had that on Wednesday night for dinner, and then had one Saturday afternoon for lunch.
Oh, you brought it home with you?
Yeah, I brought it home. We can bring it home. That's Chris says, "Hey, let's go home. It's home.
That's the old Pennsylvania Dutch coming out.
Man, I'm telling you, I love listening to him say those words.
It's
and you picked them up as well. You picked it up
a couple of them.
You picked it up in the garden story when he was planting potatoes.
It's funny because
the O's are about that big, and I know that makes a lot of people proud sometimes, but it's not that kind of O.
Not that kind of O.
It's just the O.
No, not that kind of O. But and the other thing is, Julie always jokes about this. When I say something, sometimes even when it's not a question, I'll end it with there's like this inflection where it goes up.
Yeah.
That's a Chris thing. That's a learned behavior. I blame him completely.
Yeah, there's nothing better than when Chris says, "Let's go home." I mean, let's go home.
Home.
I love it. I love it when he does that.
Well, you know who else throws their O's in a really great way are people from Baltimore.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's why they call them the Oreos.
Well, yeah, the accent coming out of like legit Balmer. Like they say I'm from Balmer, down Danier, down like their accent is very unique. And for anyone out there that has watched The Wire, the show on HBO, did you ever watch The Wire?
A little bit, not much. A little bit, not much.
Great show. It's in my top 5. Anyways, it's set obviously in Baltimore and the accents are just phenomenal. So anywho, that's kind of an East Coast thing, I think. And I don't even know what we were talking about. And so you visited.
We were talking about cheeseburgers. We're talking about cheeseburgers and you getting off the wagon. So I had some great salsa and chips yesterday too. We just kind of snacked around all day yesterday.
I love chips and salsa.
Yeah, Haley was laying out. She, you know how she lays out her Halloween table.
Oh,
the table,
yeah.
You know, getting ready for Halloween, the candy.
Oh, yeah.
And she puts all that stuff together for other people, I guess, to purchase on her little
tabletop. Shout out to Over the Tabletop.
Yep.
Haley was teaching everybody on Instagram the other day on her Over the Tabletop account making a candy salad. And it was a Halloween candy salad. You may have been there when she was doing that. It looked very cute. It had gummies, but the gummies were like Halloween. They were like fingers and eyeballs. And then she was mixing it with. Were you there for that?
Oh yeah, we got into that yesterday. Yes,
Did you eat one of the gummy fingernail or fingers?
I did. I saw it there all day. I saw them laying there all day long. I didn't even know what it was. It looked like the finger was upside down.
Did it look like a finger?
It had a fingernail on it and everything.
No, that you're like, I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what it was. And I just said it was a finger gummy.
Yep.
And here's what I want to know. How was Tilly at the soccer game?
Well, Tilly was great. I'm telling you, she scored 3 goals.
Did she really?
She did. And that girl, if the guys would stay out of her way, I think could score on every drive down. I mean, she is fleet of foot. I've never seen anybody at her age just run on a dead run from point A to point B, other than Tate. But, I mean, it was incredible. She did. She scored 3 goals. And yeah, the guys got so tired of it. One of them tried to take her out before she could shoot the ball.
What did she do? Did she get mad?
Well, he missed. He kind of, in trying to get it from her, he tripped and fell on his face.
Good for him. I'm glad he fell
on his face, and she ended up putting it into the goal, and she scored 3 goals. So she's a rocket going up and down the field. And actually, at that age, one of the it's so funny at that age that she's 4. So
she's 4. I was gonna say, we'll tell everybody she's 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's one of the tallest ones on her team.
She's very tall. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she's getting close to Tate's height. Not to say that Tate's not taller, but Landry's tall and lanky, but Tate's kind of short. Tilly's gotten tall.
Yeah, Tilly's tall.
The kids themselves, but some of those kids would just come off the field and not even go back and sit on the bench. They'd come over to where their parents were sitting. And one guy little guy got so upset, he just was bawling and crying, and he didn't want to play. So they packed it in and went home. I mean, God. They didn't even stay for the end of the game, but it was fun. It was fun.
I wish I doubt anybody took a video. I would love to see that. I had such a good time with her at the beach this summer because she's just coming into her own. She's got a lot of sass. I would say like, "Hey Tilly, you want to come do this? You want to do that?" And she just look right at me and go, "No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that." I'm like, "All right, I appreciate someone who knows what they want to do and they stick to their guns for it." And she was just like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that."
Well, I'm glad to hear that because yesterday she wanted to play the silly game called Chutes and Ladders. It's a board game.
I've played it many times. I can't believe you're acting like Well, and some kids
Oh,
don't
Lordy.
handle chutes and ladders well, because if you hit that last ladder at the end and you got to go all the way back to the beginning, I
Well,
mean, I remember
it takes
big
forever to
letdown.
play that game.
It takes forever.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
anyway,
remember.
I
I
finally
remember
got
it
to the
well.
point yesterday. I said she was telling me about wanting to play shoots or ladder, and I said no, can't do it, can't do it. So
just look at her and say, no, I don't want to do that. That's what she would say.
well, that's exactly where I was yesterday. I mean, I was worn out from on Saturday. But anyway, I did end up playing this game called Guess Who, where you have a little card and you have all these people that you flip up, you flip down.
Yes,
I enjoyed
times.
that. That's a very short game.
I'm pretty confident you played Guess Who with me when I was a child.
Yeah, but that was not the flip.
Yes, it was.
Where you have the
Yes,
little,
it was.
Was it? Really?
Yes, it was. You just don't remember.
No, I didn't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nonstop game time there. I mean,
I remember playing that in the Forney house.
Yeah, probably.
I do. Well, I'm glad you got to do that. I'm glad you got to be Peepaw this weekend, Peepaw.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, those girls love their Peepaw. It's just
who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Well, true. But Tilly and Landry really love their Peepaw. It shows through. So yeah. They want to constantly do something with me. So that's a good feeling. I went to his baseball practice on Friday night. He was getting some coaching instruction with Dobby, his hitting coach. First time they'd gone.
Oh, good.
And he's played professional baseball short period of time, but it was one of those DBAT facilities, which are a franchise facility called DBAT. I only know that because one of the guys in the neighborhood there at the lake at Lake Cypress had a franchise. He owned a franchise of that. But Dobby got with him, and they're all over. I mean, you can find them anywhere for the most part. They're pretty well recognized throughout the country. DBAT. Then they can pick. They were given a catcher instruction on how to actually play the position and catch and
right.
And this was a 13-year-old kid. So I mean, Tate was probably the smallest I saw in there at the time. But they started all ages, and he really, really made some in the matter of 30 minutes.
Some big improvements.
Huge improvements. Striking the ball, hitting the ball. Tate was hitting the ball pretty much. Shane said he was just having a hard time getting the ball up in the air. He was hitting it on the ground all the time, and he was just knocking the heck out of this ball.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, it was well worth the deal. And then while they were there, they were raffling off a custom-made ball glove worth $548.
Did you win?
Shane gets a phone call yesterday while we're watching the Chiefs game.
Who won that game, by the way, real quick? Sorry.
The Chiefs ended up winning it. Baltimore had they had it at the goal line and got stopped on the fourth down. They already
played Baltimore. They couldn't have played Baltimore.
They played the Ravens. No, they played Atlanta. I'm sorry, you're right, Atlanta.
Dad, both birds. I get it. Falcons, Ravens.
I know it.
All right, keep going. So
I was the only one. I was the only one rooting for the Falcons. That was it. Anyway.
Why would you root for the Falcons? How could you not
root? Chiefs fan. I'm just.
How could you not root for Taylor Swift's boyfriend? Come on.
I heard that all weekend. I'm telling you.
Well, you're in Missouri. Like, I can't believe you.
Well, I know, but these kids don't know anything other than Taylor Swift. They're not rooting for but they are. Tilly nicknamed Suzanne Kelsey or Travis Kelsey. She called her Travis Kelsey all weekend. I don't know why. I don't know why. No idea. But that was her new name. But anyway, Tate won that daggone ball glove.
Awesome.
Shane entered one little ticket for him. And so they ran over there yesterday and he picked it all out and he's got it ready to go. It's going to take 2 months to get it. But yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a pro model glove that they will break it in to the level that you want it broken and then send it off. It's pretty cool.
That's very cool. I mean, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have. I don't ever win that stuff. I never.
No,
like
and
raffle tickets.
It's a sexy glove. It's mint green.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty sharp. Yeah.
Well, I'll have to call Shane. That's awesome. I'm not really talking to him right now.
No.
Well, I really don't want to be talking to you right now, but I'm forced into this situation. So Jess and I and one of the other moms that I coached cheerleading with, we went and had drinks before and then went up there. And then after they got done cheering, the kids just kind of, the younger kids run around the facility. They don't watch the game. So we were just kind of spying on what all the middle school kids were doing, like, oh, are they going to actually go talk to those boys? And of course they didn't. They just hover in the background. So we were Jess and I were spying on the girls, which was fun. So that was Friday. And then Saturday we had the game, the football game that Rich cheered at, that I coached, and the girls did not do a good job. So literally with 2 minutes left in the game, I looked at all of them and I said, when this game is over, you guys bring yourself right here. I said, do not get a drink of water. Do not go to your mom or your dad, and do not think about getting anything to eat. You come right here and you meet me right here. And they were like, okay. So the game ends and they come over. I'm like, take a knee. They all take a knee and they're looking up at me. And I've taught them that when I speak, their eyes are to be on me. This is something that I have been doing since the first week of practice. So I looked right at them and I said, where are your eyes when I talk? And they're like, on you. And they're all looking at me. And I just told them, I said, this was not your best effort. And we have homecoming this week. And I said, we will not look like this on Saturday because that will be embarrassing. So I said, Tuesday night, you better show up to practice ready to work, ready to learn, and ready to get back to the basics. All you guys wanted, you want to stunt, you want to do all this stuff. I said, you guys are practicing cheers for an hour. That's what we're doing. And they were like, okay. It was great. I loved it. So,
oh, Lord.
I put them in their place, Dad. And by the way, these girls are old enough to know better. They're 5th and 6th graders. They're not little kids. And they knew they didn't do a great job. They were like, we really need to work on our cheers. And I said, yes, you do. So that was Saturday. And then we went and watched Brandon's hockey game. Parker didn't have any hockey this weekend, no games. So we went and watched his game. And then I came home. I watched TCU get stomped by SMU. Oh, my God. I hope Shane has fun at the SMU game because they may just take it to Florida State given how we've been playing. So
I think they will. Yeah.
I think they will. I mean, they looked impressive. I was like, it's amazing what oil money can buy, now that, seriously.
Yeah.
You know what it's like there. So watch that. And then we went to the Borellis and the Eastburns were there. So I was hanging out. Oh, I got to tell you this. I'm going to send you this picture. So you're going to love this. So last 2 weekends ago, we were out somewhere. Oh, me and Jess and Laura went out down on State Street and had a couple of drinks with Laura's oldest daughter who just graduated from college and had a couple of drinks at Off the Rail. And just girl time. And then we got back home. Well, by the time we got back to the Borellis, Billy was already there kind of overseeing the kids, but Carl was somewhere else and Chris was somewhere else. So it was literally just Billy sitting at their kitchen table. And we walk in and you know how it is there. It's like that long table and they've got the TV up. So he's got the TV on and we walk in the house and he's sitting there and he's got a bottle of red wine and his wine glass. And he's got the dogs. Brady and Frankie are just like with him. And it was the funniest thing. I don't know why. It just made me laugh. I was like, well, look at you. You're like Mr. High Roller. You're sitting here. You got your red wine. I was like, I've never seen him drink red wine. He's like by himself drinking his red wine. So all night I'm just ragging him about the red wine. And he's like, well, have a glass of red wine with me. I'm like, oh, I can't mix. I've already started. I'll get real sick. Can't do that. So then Saturday night, Laura texts me and she's like, wait till you see Billy. So Billy shows up in a black long sleeve turtleneck with a tweed blazer like over it and his red wine. I have pictures. I'll send you pictures. And I mean, it was because he's like, I had to be fancy for you guys. So that was amazing. So that was Saturday night. We just hung out with the neighbors. And then Sunday was productive. Parker had hockey practice in the morning. Then Chris and I drove to Cabela's in Delaware to pick up his gun cabinet, hit up Costco, my favorite place in the world.
Mm-hmm. Anything good?
Well, I got 2 bottles of Kettle One. Costco's just the bomb. Everybody knows how I feel about Costco. But when we drive to Delaware, we get to go to the Costco with the liquor store. So,
Yeah.
Dad, the big handle bottles of Kettle One. Just take a guess what it costs for one bottle.
$28.
Well, a little bit more than that. One more guess.
$32.
$32. So I got two bottles of Kettle One. I got a bottle of Angel's Envy. I got a bottle of Lagavulin Scotch for like $80. And and 2 bottles of Jameson. I mean, we did like 2 of the kind of more everyday stuff. I got some wine. I bought Mom some of the white wine to have here.
Yeah.
Because everybody drinks. So I just was there. I bought that for her. And so that was Sunday. And then he had hockey practice Sunday night. And that was the weekend. It's like they don't exist, but it was fine. It was good. I've been off the wagon now for 2 weekends and sticking to the weekends, except for today, drinking only on the weekends.
Good deal. Good deal.
It was good. I mean, everything was fine. It's good. Life is good. Things are busy, but all is well.
Awesome. What's next? What's moving up this next week?
Well,
Anything?
look what I found. Can you see this? I'm going to post this. This is
Oh,
from.
yeah.
Look at Kevo and his sharp sunglasses.
Yeah.
You know who you look like in this?
No.
For those who can't see this because you're listening, check out our YouTube. But you look like a Top Gun character because you've got the flat top.
Oh, I got the flat top going. Yep.
For sure. And I had the short hair. Anyways, that was high school graduation, Dad.
I always put those haircuts in with who was cutting my hair at the time. I don't know who that was. So what year was that, honey? That was 2003? 1999.
There you go. You're really struggling with this date thing, which we're about to get into. But
I know it.
Yeah. No, the weekend was good. Everything was great. This weekend we've got, well, now that they went to the high school football game, Reese wants to go back, but she doesn't want me to be there. But I told Parker he could go. So I was like, I will just be very in the background. You're not going to see me. So we're actually taking 2 of his buddies from hockey to the game with us. And in Saturday, we've got homecoming for the Colts. So Reese will be cheering. And then Sunday, we've got hockey in Jersey. And that's the weekend.
The Colts is the name?
The Rose Street Colts. Apparently, listen to this. So apparently in the 7U game, 7U meaning 7-year-olds, there was some big fight amongst parents or something. I wasn't there.
Lord.
I know. So on the coach's text thread, they've been talking about it all day because they were like very upset about it and that this needs to be addressed by the guy that runs the organization. And I'm like, well, shit, what did I missed it. I don't know. So we have practice tomorrow night. So I'm going to ask my friend Devin, like, what the hell went down? 7-year-olds.
Oh.
But the Colts, finally, our team pulled out a W. First one, 14-13, just pulled it out. I mean, they are not very good. They're actually pretty terrible. So the girls were really cute. They're like, so we're better than the football players. I was like, well, I'll give it to you. I will say this week you weren't, but usually you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had experience this weekend with Tilly and a Colt. Did she bring that daggone baby to Florida with her? That little naked 1-year-old baby doll.
Oh, and she named it Colt.
Oh, it's his name, Colt.
Well, I say this word.
Yeah, I was in charge. I was in charge of Colt all weekend too.
Oh, okay.
Taking care of Colt. Yeah.
I think I say Colt referring to a horse the correct way. I don't say it right when you're speaking about a colt.
No, it's Colt. C-O. It's O. Home.
No, I know,
Colt,
but when I'm saying
Colt.
when I'm saying colt, like
You're not saying Colt. Colt.
Right. I have a hard time saying colt. It always comes out like a colt, like a horse. So I get made fun of a lot for that.
Suzanne can help you with that.
I mean, I know the difference. I like one's with a U, one's with an O. I can't get that U.
Well, the problem is, and not to get into this But I think it's very interesting because she was working with Tilly and working with Tate a little bit. That, the problem is that when you say things, you tend to say two sounds, not just the sound of the letter. So,
Okay.
and sometimes it's hard to get the C, the and then the O. You've got it's. And when she puts that together, it's like freaking music coming together. I mean, it's so funny, but it's anyway.
Wow.
That's what you get for.
That's what you get.
With the reading interventionist, yes.
When I should have Suzanne help me with this, because when I was a kid, I could not say the word deodorant.
Oh,
Did
really?
you ever
What'd
know
you say?
I would say.
This was before you had to use it or buy it, I'm assuming.
I would say deodorant. So Julie would just be like, all right, let's break this down. And she would go, say D. And I'd say D. Say O. Say dir. Rant. And then she'd go, all right, all together. And I go, deodorant. So I said, it took me a long time to say deodorant. I still can't say it. And then I also said and you know what a lot of this was, Dad, was being a hybrid between Texas and Florida. And nobody in Florida really has an accent. It's a unique place to be. And then going to Texas, being there. So I would come back and I would be so messed up because I couldn't say, when I would say orange, I would say it like orange with a CH, not orange. I still do it, kind of. Orange. How do you say orange?
Orange. I'm still laughing at Florida being kind of a unique place to be. Have you seen the people in some places of Florida? It is really unique.
I brought this up. I literally brought this up on a work call today because they were talking about the hurricanes coming through Florida. And I said something, for some reason, I go, well, not to offend you. I said, but people in Florida are just really weird. And then I go, and I'm allowed to say that because I spent half my life there. So I am allowed to say it. And they just kind of started laughing. And this one guy goes, oh, are you referring to Florida man? I said, yeah, sure, him, or just like 50% of the population. Like, people from Florida are just different, you know?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do. I've seen plenty of them, plenty of them down there at times.
I mean, they're literally like people that kill people. Literally, people that kill people go to Florida to try to like blend in. So what does that tell you?
That's so true. There was a guy getting fuel today, and he was inside the store, and he was flirting with the clerk, and he was a big tall guy, had a New York hat on backwards, and he was frank to her until there was a fireworks stand just down the road called Boomtown, and he's telling her, you could just see him flirting with this girl and ordering someone buy drinks, and he goes, hey, I've even got bail money. I'm going to go get in a fight down in Boomtown. Who makes plans to go get in a fight and have money in his pocket to get out of jail? I mean,
well,
I've got bail money.
Either somebody from Missouri or somebody from Florida.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh Lordy, he put that whole front counter in disarray because he was occupying way too much time talking to the people. Nobody else could get checked out. Oh Lordy.
Well.
Oh Lord, I forget what I was going to say that was funny before that. When you're Florida.
Florida.
Oh, on your pronunciation of words. Suzanne called me out. I think it was on the day that we did the little taping and ran into her on a walk, pretending to run into her on a walk.
Oh
And
God.
she goes, I noticed the way you say fruition. And I say, well, how do I say it? And she goes, well, if you're in a hurry, you call it flourish. And I said, it's not flourition. She said, no, it's fruition. And I said, well, I know it's fruition. And then I say flourition. She said, you tend to drop in a nail there every now and then.
I don't know that I've ever heard you say the word fruition.
Fruition.
Did I say it wrong?
Yeah. Well, it's not fluoride. It's It's fruition.
I just said fruition.
There's no L.
I didn't say an L.
It sounded like you did. Fruition.
Fruition. I just said fruition.
Fruition. It's FRU. Fruition.
Fruition.
Yeah. When something comes to fruition.
Yeah, I get the word. I understand the meaning.
It's not flourish. It's not flourishing. It's
oh my gosh. I know. Anyway,
okay.
So I would get teased about deodorant, orange, and then I also got teased because I always said fixin'. I'm fixing to do this. I'm fixing to do that. And that's a Texas thing. And everyone would be like, what are you fixing to do? And I said, well, and they're like, you should say, apparently you're supposed to say, I'm getting ready to. I'm getting ready to go to the store. And I'm like, right, but mine is much faster. I'm just going to say fixin'.
I said fixin' one time I was in Washington, D.C. pulling out of trying to get a parking spot.
What'd you say? I'm fixing to get this parking spot.
No, he was sitting in his car, and I said, I need to park. I got out of my truck. I was trying to see if he was fixing to leave. I said, are you fixing to leave? And he said, he looked at me and he looked at me again. And I said, then he wouldn't give me an answer. I said, are you fixing to leave? And he said, what are you saying? And I said, are you about ready to move? And he said, oh yeah. I said, well, I'm trying. I would like to have your spot. He said, you can have it. And I said, okay, you're fixing to leave.
Then you're like, I'm sorry. Are you getting ready to leave?
Yeah, I had to back it up.
That's a Texas thing. And then obviously up here, y'all, that was when I first moved up here. If I was at the bar and I'd say, what do y'all have on draft? What do y'all? And then they're like, y'all, where are you from? And it's like this big thing, I'm like, well, I'm from a lot of places, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Anywho, well, good catching up, Dad.
Yep, that was a long catch up.
I'm glad you had fun in Missouri, and all the things.
Yep. 2 weeks away from Cabo. We're excited about that. So.
Oh, that's lovely. I don't have. If the Florida trip works out, which I hope that it does. That will be my first. That'll be it. I haven't. Well, we're going in the time of year where we're about to start traveling we're fixing to start traveling for hockey quite a bit. So, where I get to go for the first time? We just decided we're going to do this tournament. I'm going to Utica, New York.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
home of the Olympics.
No, that's Lake Placid.
Oh, good point.
Good try. The Miracle on Ice, one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Is that in Utica?
No, that's in Lake Placid.
Utica? Why do I know Utica?
Fuck if I know. I'll be there in a couple of weeks. I don't know. Apparently there's an ice rink there. I don't know.
Okay.
You know what you're thinking of. This is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Get ready for this. Are you thinking of Ithaca?
No, not Ithaca. No.
Okay.
Utica. I've heard of. I don't know. Maybe I know somebody from Utica. I just know Utica, New York.
I know nothing about it.
We did a job in Utica. Now that I think about it, we just did a recent job in Utica, New York. That's what it is. Utica.
Well,
Utica.
I'll look it up because I don't know anything. Yeah, I don't know.
I was thinking went to Adam Sandler and Happy Hanukkah. So from Utica to Hanukkah. So I don't know. All right, let's go on. Well, anyway, I just you and Chris need to take an October and go to Cabo with us one time. So or take a week, go to Cabo with us.
Maybe we can look at doing that next year. Next year will be our 14th anniversary. Mm-hmm. You've been saying this, like, I don't want to go with the kids. Like, if we're going to go, I want to go.
No, I agree.
So, because before
your
I go,
mom's right there. You got a living babysitter there.
Well, no, I know, but in the past you've been like, oh, bring the kids. I'm like, I don't want to take the kids. I definitely don't want to take them to Mexico. So yeah, that would be a good time. Let's try to make that happen. And I do want to make the bourbon tour happen. So I'm going to look at trying to make
I
that
told
happen.
Shane about that.
Oh, he's not invited.
Oh,
You're not invited. You think I'm kidding?
yeah.
Well, one, he'll never make a decision anyway, so we don't have to worry about it. Not invited. Anywho. What are we talking about tonight, Dad? By the way.
This is episode 12.
Episode 12.
The Big D. Yep. Back to Dallas. So we left off with you saying goodbye to the Florida State party town and
leaving Tallahassee.
Headed to Dallas, and kind of that was a quick turn when you think about it. School was out, school was over.
Graduated on a
Pretty
Friday.
Much packed up. I think got rid of all your furniture, and then off we go to road trip it back to Dallas.
We left the sad state of affairs. We left the lazy boy chairs got left behind. Because when I moved out, the girls still had the house for that summer. So we left the chairs, and I don't think I left everything there. And there was no need to bring anything back. Yeah, we loaded up the Civic. Funny story about moving to Dallas. Do you remember this? That when I had left Tallahassee, it was May, obviously. So I got my driver's license in May. When I turned 16, I don't know what year that was. It doesn't really matter. But point being, it was May when I got my driver's license when I turned 16. It was May when I graduated from college in 2003, right around the 5-year mark. So when I got to Texas, do you remember that I had let my driver's license expire? Expire,
yes. I do remember that.
And I don't think I had told you or Shelly. And I said, well, I got to get to the DMV, and because we were going through all this stuff, it's like, all right, you've moved, like these are all the things you've got to take care of. And I'm pretty sure y'all said like, you got to get your driver's license, and we've got to change your insurance. And because I had the car, and I'm like, all right. I said, well, I got to get my
for the car. Yep.
Right. I said, well, I got to get my driver's license anyways, because it's expired. And y'all were both like, what? And I said, well, I knew I was moving and I was going to do all this, so I just didn't renew it. And so if you remember, I had to retake the
test.
Out in Mount Vernon, which the only time I took the driver's test was in sophomore year during driver's ed, where we took the driving test out in like a parking lot at Winter Park High School. I never took a test on an actual road. I never had to parallel park. I mean, it was very easy in Florida. Hello, Florida. Very easy to get a driver's license. So when I show up in Mount Vernon, not only did I have to take the driving test, I had to take the written test. So we get there, and they're like, honey, your license is expired. You've got to take the full test. So Shelly and I grabbed the book, and I think we went and had lunch, and I was like power reading through the traffic signs, just trying to remember them. Because I'm pretty sure I went back either that day or like the next morning. And I took the written test, and I passed, thank God, like barely. And then I took the driving test, and the only reason I passed that test was because living in Tallahassee, you had to parallel park to be able to park on campus. So I taught myself how to parallel park. And so I had that down, and I learned you go steering wheel to steering wheel. For those who don't know, that's how you parallel park. Steering wheel to steering wheel, and then you cut hard, whip back. So I did it, and I passed the test. Thank God. But that was very stressful.
Man, that's a good pointer right there. Steering wheel to steering wheel.
I don't know who taught me that. I guess you didn't teach me that.
No, I didn't teach you that. I don't remember that at all.
Somebody in Tallahassee told me, they're like, you know how you do this? I was like, I have no clue how to do this. So they said, steering wheel to steering wheel, and that's what I did. And I've always been able to parallel park pretty well, actually. So that was the start of the move. But we drove, I guess, remind me of this. Did we stop like halfway on the drive back? Okay.
Yeah, I think we stopped that time making those trips, we would either take 20 down. If we were leaving from the lake, we would take 20 and then get down to 10 through
Yeah.
Mobile.
And then you went up
Coming
to
back. Yeah. Coming back, I thought we stopped. I think we drove and stopped in Biloxi that time for some reason.
Okay.
We went straight on. We went straight on 10 and then went up a different way just to try a different route. I think that's what we did. I kind of remember that, stopping in Biloxi.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I'm assuming obviously we drove to the lake and you obviously took your test in Mount Pleasant then.
Yes.
Instead of Dallas. So that was good. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely did that in Mount Pleasant. And then, we were out there at the lake the whole summer.
Right.
And no real rush to, I think that was kind of the gig that you and Shelly were like, enjoy your summer. We want to enjoy you and whatever. And then, but after summer was over, the expectation was that I had to really start looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
So but I don't think I really did
anything all summer. No,
I don't
Probably
think so.
not.
I mean, I think I was out at the lake and, I was thinking a lot about this too, is when I moved out there. So when I graduated college, I was 23 years old, which would have made, Kelsey, my sister, we're 10 years apart. So she is 13 and we had spent our entire lives very little time together. It was like quick, the times I was in Texas, the vacations, and so she was coming into an age where she just, I think, was very excited to have me there. And I was excited to get to know her and be a part of her life. So I spent, as a 23-year-old, I basically spent my summer hanging out with my 13-year-old sister. We just hung out and palled around and wakeboarded at the lake and stayed up late watching movies. And yeah, we just had a big time. I think she loved it because she had an older sister driving her and her friends around and not her parents. And I was like, well, shit, I don't have anything else to do. I didn't have any friends there, I was like, I'm just kind of living, doing whatever, taking a break. The other thing was about being there, I had spent 4 years just going hard all the time with just between like smoking cigarettes and drinking a lot and all this stuff. I don't know if you remember this, but my voice was like completely different than it is now. I had that very like hoarse, raspy voice. And I just from 4 years of not probably sleeping, whatever. And by the time the summer was over, it was like my voice had changed back because I'd stopped smoking cigarettes because I was not around that stuff,
Yeah.
I wasn't doing any of that.
So knowing that we were there for the summer, I was still commuting back and forth from the lake into work every day. We were living at the lake full time from the year 2000 through 2005.
Yep.
So you came kind of in the middle of that, but I would go in from the lake. I'd go in drive in on Monday.
Well, we would fly. This is when you had
we fly a lot. Yep.
At that time, you had the Robinson 44. So you and I, if I didn't stay at the lake, I think when I say I stayed at the lake, I meant like the first couple of weeks I was there. I didn't go into Dallas. And I think y'all gave me like a month. And then it was like, all right, I started going. You and I would go into Dallas because I had, we were living in the condo together in Lakewood. Y'all had bought that condo so that you could be in Dallas at the office, but then get out to the lake for the weekends. So you had a 2-bedroom condo. So when I moved in, I moved into the second bedroom, and you and I would fly out Thursday nights, usually Thursday nights. And I was able to do that because I didn't have a job. So eventually I started working for you at the house there, but the office was still in Forney.
At that time, yeah.
But so we hadn't sold the house yet, but we weren't living there because we lived at the condo. I never lived
You never lived in the Forney house. So that was kind of
No.
a funny transition. So yeah, we moved out to the lake. We gave it full time, thinking we would try to see how that went.
Right.
Just full time.
Right.
But in 2000, well, it doesn't matter about 2000, but 2003. So we were still at the lake. We were, the whole routine was, and then we decided to go ahead and I had moved the office up to the Addison area. The engineers were up in the Addison area on Montfort, 2000 to 2000, kind of early 2000 through about 2002.
Okay.
And then the drafting group was actually out at the Forney office. So we were still somewhat commuting to Forney.
Yes.
When that first started, I would commute to Forney, and then I would eventually run up to the Addison office and back and forth there. But when you were there,
we were in Forney because Virgil was there. Virgil was there. Al was there because we would go and get lunch at like Dickie's Barbecue. Remember, Al loved Dickie's Barbecue. We would go there. Mm-hmm. Which all of this had changed so much from what Forney was when I grew up. Mm-hmm. But I worked there I know we were in the Forney office because I remember your office, your big office there. I know that. So we were there. I would help out whatever you wanted me to do. I did like a couple of projects like, hey, you're like, we got to get this stuff organized. Because you were trying to move, basically you were trying to get rid of shit. You had so many drawings, like huge, the big blueprints that you were like, we got to categorize this. And then you and I are going to go through them because we didn't need them all. So I was doing stuff like that while you were like, do this. You paid me minimum wage. Mm-hmm. I did that. Wow. And you're like, and you look for a job. And if you got to go on an interview, you go on an interview. But, then you can be here making money. And we were living in the condo together. So we would commute in during the week from the condo. Mm-hmm. And then we would fly out to the lake, typically Thursday nights from the heliport. And then we would fly home Monday mornings. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But during the week, we were having a large time. Yeah. Because you were just like, all right, I've got my girl here. You wanted me to be happy. You wanted me to like form a life there. And so we were going out. We would go to hockey games. I mean, I don't know if you remember that, but we were real big into our Crown and Cokes. We had to stop drinking Crown together because we would got fights all the time. Yep. We would get,
but we had season tickets to the Stars then, so that was big time all the time. Yeah.
So we did that a lot, and I mean, and what was that went for? I don't know. Maybe you and I together can piece that out, but that went on for a while. And what was sad is that we were having during the week, you and I were just like living our best lives. We were having a great time. And then we'd go out to the lake for the weekend, and Shelly would be there because she was living there full time with Kelsey in school. And, we would probably just, I'm sure, be downloading on all the great times we were having. Because even if we stayed home, we were watching shows. And do you remember you'd come home and I'd be like watching Friends? And I just remember you telling me, you're like, I have never seen anyone in my life be able to watch an episode. You'd be like, I know you've probably seen 10 times and still laugh just as much as you did probably the first time. Like you just couldn't get over it.
Saw it.
You couldn't get over that. I was like, oh, I loved it. So we were living our life. Then we go out to late for the weekend and we live our life out there big. That was when we were running around with like Pat McBride.
Yeah. Pat was there for sure.
God, he was great.
When did you meet the G's? Was that when you first came out there, or was that later?
So,
it seemed to me like we didn't really hang out with them initially.
You didn't.
But Kelsey would have known.
Well, she knew Colin from school, but they were friends, but y'all weren't hanging out with him. So this is great. The way I met the G's was Kelsey had some friends over and they wanted to go toilet paper somebody's house. And I was like, well, I'm a fucking expert. Like we did that through high school and we were very good at it. So I said, all right, I'll take you girls. And I think I even told Shelly, hey, I'm taking them. We're going to go TP somebody's house. Like I'll be careful. And obviously I'll take the fall if something happens, like whatever. So we went, bought all the toilet paper, and I took the girls, and they wanted to toilet paper Colin's house. And I was like, all right, let's go. So we start rolling the house, and they were not asleep, or they woke up or something. And I saw the lights come on. So I'm like, get in the car. And we take off, and I'm like, all right, no big deal. I mean, the amount of times I've told for a house and never had this happen. Now I'm 23 years old with a bunch of 13-year-olds.
Do you know who lived next door to them at that time?
The
Sears.
Yes.
The Sears, Leanne Sears. And he's a state trooper.
Oh, well, he probably called Kevin and was like, Kevin. So I get in the car, we take off, and next thing I know, this car is like fucking chasing us. And I just was like, oh my God. I mean, this town at that time, population was 2,500 people. I mean, it was small. And I'm like, who is this person? So I am ripping ass through the streets there over by the high school, the middle school in downtown residential area. And finally, Kevin catches up to me. And I finally just stopped because I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is not safe. So I stopped, and we get out of the car, and I'm like, look, and I was like, this really isn't a big deal. And I think he just said something like, so you're the sister. And I'm pretty sure he was like, how old are you? Or whatever. And we went back. I can't remember if we helped him clean up. I'm sure we did. And then ever since then.
Well, that was the next day, I think.
Yeah. And then it was like, after that, just, they would see me at the marina or whatever and give me a hard time. And then eventually I just became very close with the G's, and they became like my second family. So, oh yeah. But I'm pretty sure Kevin that night was just like, so you're the sister, and like, yeah, but that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we were doing that, and then we would, you and we'd have, and what was sad is that, you probably do, obviously, I'm sure you remember this, but Shelly just started getting really, I think, resentful and not happy. Like, you guys are here in Dallas just having a great time, and here I am out here and not having a great time. And eventually that was when, she basically said, I want to move back to Dallas full time. So I'm trying to remember. I mean, I think it was when Kelsey started high school, because I'm pretty sure she did not go back for middle school, but I think that went on for 2 years. And then when Kelsey started high school, y'all were back in Dallas full time, and that's when she started at Bishop Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, the routine was before you came in 2003. I mean, like I said, we were in that 2000 to 2005. That 5 years was out there when Kelsey was in middle school, or started fifth grade. I think fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, and then ninth grade we went back. So roughly 4 years. So. But I would go in on Monday. I would drive in on Mondays, and this is why I'm backing up a little bit. I would drive in on Monday, stay Monday at the condo by myself.
Yeah.
Drive back out Tuesday night, work from home on Wednesdays, and then get up Thursday morning and go back into Dallas to be at the office on Thursday and Friday, and then drive home. Or when the helicopter was purchased, that it was originally driving the little black Jetta into town, and then the helicopter was bought, and then I started flying that, but which cut time down from an hour and a half to 45 minutes. But anyhow, so I still feel like there was a time where I was still, we would be together on Monday. And maybe I would stay the whole week, but I still thought I was going back home on Wednesday.
You did. There were some times where you would go back. But
you would be at the condo by yourself. Is my point. I was not there.
You're right.
Tuesday night, Wednesday, and then come back on Thursday.
Yes, you were right about that. You were right.
Yeah.
But I want to say, there were times when you were like, oh, we've got a Stars game. I'm just going to stay out here.
Exactly.
I mean, you were probably, it went from you probably doing that religiously every week, your Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, to where it was probably of a month, 2 weeks, you would probably stay with me, and 2 weeks you didn't.
Yeah. That's
And it was hard. I mean, it was a very 50-50 situation for me because, and you probably knew this, but when I was with you, when we were together, when I was with the family, I was very happy. You know, it was like I was making up for all this lost time. I was finally forging a real relationship with my sister, who I just adored. You know, I became like another parent to her, but we just were thick as thieves, even being 10 years apart. So I loved that. And then I loved the time with you. You know, we were basically, yes, you're older than me, but I was an adult. I could drink. Like we were spending time together as adults.
We were running buddies. Yeah.
And we were having a good time. We were having a great time. We're checking out new restaurants. You know, we're having a good old time. But then when you wouldn't be there, like when you would say, like, you know, I'm going to go do your family thing and all that, and I would stay back, which is what I would have started working for Med Trials at that point, right? So I couldn't go. I had to work. I started working there that October. I got the job there. And yeah, I'd be by myself, and like I would just be so fucking sad. I had no real friends. And I remember I would go to the store and buy a bottle of Yellowtail wine that I thought was good. And I would like drink a bottle of wine and make like a peanut butter sandwich probably, and get on the phone with my friends and just catch up. What are y'all doing? I remember, you know, Lindsay, my very good friend from college who I lived with for 3 years. I mean, we were very close at that point still, but she would just constantly be like, what are you doing there? Like that. She was back in Nashville. You know, she had moved back to Nashville, and she was like, you could move here. You could move back to Florida. Like, what are you doing? And because she knew how sad I was. And, but I just was like, I'm doing something here. In my mind and in my heart, it was like I was doing something. And I think what that was just, you know, making up for lost time. Like I didn't want to leave my sister at that point. I was like, it got to a point where I was like, I can't imagine leaving her now after finally establishing that, you know, and I didn't want to leave you. So it was hard. I mean, those were hard years for probably, I mean, that was 2003. It was probably 2.5 years before I met Reed and started running around with those guys. I mean, it was a good while before I made friends my age that I actually enjoyed hanging out with. I would meet people, but just be like,
we were running Kelsey around to her tournaments and things like that. So the weekends were filled with that kind of thing. And we'd meet these guys. We'd meet all the wakeboarding community and got to be really close with them, and, you know, more close in that weekend tournament scenario. And obviously how we met Reed, and, you know, got to be good buddies with still the G's, and did a lot of lake trips, you know, and riding on the weekends. So working at the marina, you made good friends by working at the marina.
I worked at the marina. I loved
Kelsey
that.
Was there with you. And so you guys just kind of tagged along, and it was for sure. The summer skate was good. Then going and getting your first real job at Med Trials had to be tough, because you were having to be stationed in Dallas full time. And didn't have a whole lot of necessarily friends to run around with then, until hooking up with Reed or hooking up with other people and meeting other people. And, you know, I remember you dating a little bit out at the lake, or dating some people here and there, but nothing serious. The biggest memory, one of my biggest memories of us living in that condo together, just crazy. And I need verification of this because nobody believes me.
What?
Is remember when we ordered the Papa John's pizza and we opened the door and the cowboy cheerleaders were right there?
Yes. Who doesn't believe you? It was a promo deal. It was Papa John's, because we loved our Papa John's. Yeah. And it was a promo deal. And for whatever reason, like that night, they were going to some of the houses, and you were just like fit to be tied when we opened the door, and that you're like, Jamie, get over here. There's pictures somewhere I mean,
Oh
we
yeah,
we
they had the limo out front. We went out and checked out the limo, and yeah, it
100%
was
that
fun.
absolutely
Okay,
happened.
all right,
Absolutely
just
happened.
just making
Yeah.
sure I didn't dream that. So everybody
Oh,
doesn't.
no,
Nobody wants to give me believe that.
absolutely happened. Yeah, no, but
Remember,
it
they showed
was,
up. They showed up with the pizza. They had a little Polaroid camera where we could take pictures. They brought the camera.
I wonder where those pictures are. No, we definitely
I
did that.
yeah, I've seen them somewhere.
And
I've
our
seen them.
neighbor
But
at the, was his name was Dan, right? The older gentleman that lived in the condo across from us?
Dan was there, and
He was
then
definitely there.
he was there, and then well, Dan lived catty corner from us.
Right.
And do you
Yeah.
remember the I'm still friends with him on LinkedIn, but lived right across moved in right across the door from you. Good looking guy.
Wasn't his name Chris?
No, it wasn't Chris.
He had a
I'm drawing a
girlfriend.
blank.
He had a girlfriend.
He
Because
did
I remember
have a girlfriend. Yeah.
when he moved in, y'all were like, this is it. This is the guy. And I was like,
Yeah,
he has
yeah,
a
yeah.
girlfriend. And
Yeah.
y'all were like, that's okay. I'm like, it's not okay.
I'll run it down because I've had a couple meetings with him since moving out, just because he's in the glass industry.
Oh,
So
okay. No, he was a super nice guy. Good looking guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's actually married and has a baby, and
Yeah.
not two, but
Probably
yeah, he's
multiple.
still.
Yeah. I mean, he was
Mhm.
definitely my age. Yeah.
I don't think that girlfriend thing worked out, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, anyway, so yeah, so eventually, yes, I did meet. I mean, if it had not been for Reed, like I probably would have just been, I don't know, like truly, I probably would have moved if I had not met Reed. I mean, there was actually a point, I don't even know if I told you this, but I was interviewing with a company, my friend Kristen that I went to high school with, and I mean, I grew up with her, not just high school, but elementary. We were friends all through elementary school too. She was living in Washington, D.C., and she's like, hey, my company's interviewing, like interview for this job. And I was interviewing for this. I interviewed for this job. And then for whatever reason, I don't think I got it. But I mean, like I was looking to get out. And then I think that was right around the time that I met Reed, and we just became, he was just one of these people that, and I joke about this all the time. I'm like, and you're probably the same way, but I'm just like, you either love me or you don't like me. There's not a lot of in between. And
Yeah.
he was just one of these people that from the get go, he just loved me. And he like, he didn't mind that I was a very opinionated, loud, you know, over the top female, especially in the South, because I didn't do well. I joke about that all the time, that I should have lived in the Northeast my whole life, because a lot of men just don't handle that well with women. They want women that are very obedient and quiet and to, you know, just kind of like they're in the background. And I was never that way. And so this is great. We were talking about the TCU game, but Reed grew up in Utah, and he took me. He would go watch TCU play Utah when TCU still played in the Mountain Division. And he took me to that game that one year. He's like, come with me. And so I met a bunch of his friends, and that was his buddy Travis that I'd met. And that was that night, Travis, that nicknamed me Big Time. So that's why they all call me Big Time, because he was just like, you're fucking awesome. You're like a big time. And I was like, always, you know. So it was just like I finally started meeting people that I could be myself. And but yeah, we went to that. I'll never forget walking into that TCU stadium. This was before it became what it is today. And I just looked at him, I go, this is a college stadium? Like it looked like a high school football field. You know, coming out of Tallahassee. I was just like, this is a college game? And yeah, we had a great time, but running around with them, and it was just good. It was all good. And but yeah, so Reed kind of like saved me a little bit. The G's saved me. You know, they became very much family. And you know, when stuff started going weird with you and Shelly, and like when you and I would have our shit, like they were my people. You know, they would take me in and make sure I was good. And yeah, they probably still would. They're great people. I miss them dearly. Yeah,
that's one thing about the relationships at the lake for sure. And I still feel the same way. We were talking about this just the other day, going up to Shane's, just about being, being in Nashville now and away from the lake, and just how much those people still,
Yeah.
unlike your childhood. Not that your childhood friends aren't, well, as you move on, but I mean those lake friends are still in our lives. So
I mean, we had just such a good community there, that there was a run, and then people started moving away, and like the G's moved to Houston, and that sucked. But there was a 4 to 5 year period where we had just such a good community. And even before you and Suzanne moved, and I would come back with the kids, and we would see people that I hadn't seen in 10, 12 years. And they were like, recognized me, and I'd, working at the marina, and they're like, oh my God, let me see your kids. And being able to show off my children. And it was just there were hard years in that time, and there were really good years in that time. And I think what just to bring it down and maybe wrap it up a little bit, but I think it took a toll on your relationship with Shelly, and it definitely took a toll on my relationship with Shelly. I mean, I remember one night we got into it for some reason, and she just looked at me, and she was just she just told me, she's like, I'm so envious of you, and like I don't even want to be around you. Like I'm so jealous that I can't even enjoy being around you anymore. And she basically was like, and I know that's messed up, but that's where I'm at. And I'm at that point, I'm 25, 26 years old. I mean, yes, I'm an adult, but I'm still kind of a kid. And
yeah, well,
so
yeah,
it was, I was still very much acting like a kid. And so that was really hard. I mean, that's when things kind of started to fall apart for you guys. And she used me as a scapegoat for, I think, her own shit.
yeah.
And so it took a toll on me and you. It took a toll on her and I. And I mean, the only thing it didn't was me and Kelsey. We were still, we were good, but it was those, what do we calculate those years? 2003 through 2008 before I finally, I had met Chris in 2006. He and I probably started dating. I met him in June of 06, and then he and I started dating.
Crispy and your husband, obviously.
Crispy and my husband. We met I flew to media for the holiday party that December, and he and we had met before because he had flown to Dallas for orientation in I don't know, August or something. And I took everybody out to Greenville and had a good time. And then everybody went back to the hotels and nothing happened. Just we had a good time. And then I went back for the Christmas party that December, and me and Brian ended up taking him and 4 other guys from the office. We ended up going out to some bars after the holiday party at one of the owner's house. That was a fun night. I mean, that was a ridiculous night. And Chris and I hooked up that night. We made out, whatever. And then the next day, I flew back home to Dallas. I was literally, Dad, laying on the floor in the airport. I couldn't even eat. I was we had gone to this place called Ruby's Diner to get breakfast in the morning, and I couldn't even eat. So I'm literally laying on the floor of the airport in Philly. And my boss at the time, Ivana, she's like, honey, the flight's boarding, get off the floor. I was like, okay. I mean, she knew, and it was fine. So we get back, and I'll never forget, the next week at work, Chris sent me an email at work and just said, I had such a great time. And that opened it. And we just started emailing back and forth. And then I had to go back there in January for something. So I was there in December, went back in January for a work thing, and he took me out on a date. We had a date. Yeah. And I'll never forget, he picked me up in that, remember he had that black Volvo station wagon?
Yep.
And so he picks me up. I'm like, it was an old one. I'm like, this is so weird. This like 30-year-old man driving a black station wagon. And he had like, but he had like skateboarding stickers like all over the inside of the car. So I was like, this is like, and we went to this place. It was called Mackenzie's. They're off of 202, like headed towards Delaware. And we didn't go into media for whatever reason. Like Marty had said, no, take her to this place. So we go out there. And they had music trivia that night. And of course, Chris got all the questions right. And I was just like, how do you know all this? He knew all of it. And then that was January. And then February was the first time he flew to Dallas. Or no, I went back that February again and visited on a personal level, not for work. And then after that, he and I started doing every other month, Dallas and media. And we did that for a year until we basically were like, all right, we really like each other, but we can't, it was expensive. You know, we're like, we can't keep doing this. You guys had met him.
Investment. Yeah.
Y'all liked him. Everybody liked him. You know, I remember I was so worried about Shane meeting him. Shane met him and they hit it off like they were thick as thieves. And I loved media. From coming up here, I just fell in love with it up here. And so when we were like, somebody's got to move, I said, I mean, I'll move. I really like it there. And I asked, you know, my boss at the time, I had to disclose I was dating him. And I just said, you know, I'm either going to move with you guys or I'm going to move without y'all. And they're like, well, we don't want you to leave. So they let me move up here. And that was 2008.
2008.
Probably about March of 2008. But yeah. And that's how I got to Dallas, and that's how I got out of Dallas.
But yeah, you get to come back. Maybe we pick that up next time.
Yeah. Eventually we come back. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. Well, just wrapping this up, I think my biggest takeaway that I totally probably blocked out or didn't realize or remember that until we visited again on it. But just the fact of, as you mentioned, just that time frame of you coming into town, like you say, us palling around, running around, just spending lost time together. Actually, you know, really my first time after you getting out of high school, you know, didn't really get to see you much through college or through the summers of college. So that was like just a big reunion time. And then, as you said, getting to the hockey games, running around doing that, meeting the hockey group, the hockey buddies, just kind of
the lake life, wakeboarding, all the people,
all that stuff. Just was really, really good times for sure, and hard times. I know we had some hard times. We'll get into those, I'm sure, later, but it was hard. And then again, the trouble kind of starts coming to a real head at 2008 through 2010, and with Shelly and I kind of going our separate ways, and Kelsey dealing with all that. But
and we'll get it. Maybe that's what we touch on next week, because that was obviously at that point, you know, leaving Kelsey was very, very hard for me. But at the same time, I mean, she was so young, and even then, though, I just remember her like being so happy for me and wanting me to, you know, she wanted that life for me, but leaving her was very, very hard. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's quiet, we didn't touch, you know, when Wally mentioned, you know, the explosive moments, these were this was the time of the explosive moments. So I don't know that you and I could I don't know that I could sit here and tell everybody, oh, Dad and I fought about this. All I can tell I guess I feel like we have to regroup to that. All I can tell everyone is that we would go out, we would be drinking whiskey, which is why we typically don't drink whiskey together anymore, because it makes, I mean, I was this way in college. I remember Lindsay being like, oh boy, you're getting whiskey drunk tonight. Like, they knew Jamie on whiskey was a different Jamie. So, and you were the same way. But we were just like, I don't know. I just think we were explosive in a very good way. I mean, we would meet people and they would just be like, this is your, like, they loved it. This is your daughter. This is your dad. And we're like, we were best fucking friends. You know, we were like, yeah. And they loved it. And then something would happen and one of our switches would just flip and we would take out whatever frustration. Like, you could have been mad at me because I wasn't keeping the condo clean. You know, like you're a much neater person than I am, and that would drive you crazy. So that could have flipped your switch and just been like, you know, you don't appreciate what you have. And I'm sure I didn't. And then I think you'd flip my switch and I'd basically be like, well, you know, where have you been my whole life? You know, I would throw that shit at you and we would just explode in front of whoever and whatever. I mean, it didn't really matter.
Yeah, that's a good summation of it. And you're exactly right. I think it's the fact that even though we're a lot alike and as well, we do have differences. And I'm sure my feelings would get hurt if I found out something that, you know, I didn't approve of or didn't really like or didn't believe in, and kind of cross the boundary a little bit, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And, you know, you want your freedom and me wanting that for you, but as well, not, if anything that I can know that would really upset me is if I ever felt like I was being taken advantage of. And that's not really probably a fair evaluation, but just, you know, yeah, we have a good time and we do this, but, you know, and I think a lot of that was initially up front and then continued, but I know you were struggling when you first got there, just trying to figure things out and what to do and how to go about doing it and finding a job. And that was tougher than probably you thought, tougher than I thought, just knowing how devoted of a person you are and doing anything and everything. So, but you're right. I mean, and again, I think the best description is a whiskey drunk is not a good drunk for Kevin, and it's not a good drunk for Jamie, and better yet, it's not a good drunk when Kevin and Jamie are together. So you're right. I don't tend to drink whiskey even to this day. So,
well, and what's funny is, well, you and I had bourbon together not that long ago, and you've been drinking it more. And you know me, I love whiskey. I'm a big whiskey drinker, and we have since had whiskey together, whether you drank it or I drank it, and we've been fine. I think, you know, what is important to remember, and you touched on this, is that the visits, the time together, you know, 5 years old through 16 years old was scheduled. It was routine. It was consistent, and it wasn't a lot, but it was, you know, I wanted to be there. Obviously you always wanted us there, but it was hard, but it was welcomed. And after about 16, I just got to a point where it was taking me away. As much as I loved my family, it was taking me away from what as a 16-year-old is the most important thing, are your friends and your social life. So, you know, basically from 17 until 23, I did not see you much. Like, I don't even remember, and maybe I did, but like, I don't remember going to Texas for Christmas. I don't, because again, in college, you only had like 2-3 weeks. So we went a good long time of not really being together. And when it was time, I said this at the end of last episode, like, just all the stupid shit that I let become way more important than it was in terms of, you know, romantic relationships and whatever in college, it had me such at a state where I was like, I got to get out of here. I wanted to get out of the state of Florida. I had left high school and with just weird relationship drama. I was leaving college with weird relationship drama. And it was like, I just want to go away. And you were a safe place, a refuge. It was new. It was different. It was like my escape. And then when I got there, and that was hard, that was really hard, because in my mind, it was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to move to Dallas. I'm outgoing. I'm fun. I'm going to kill it. It's going to be really good. And for a long time, it was hard. It's not that it wasn't good, but it was hard. And I probably took some of my sadness out on you and all of that. But, you know, meeting Chris it probably saved a lot of things, you know.
Yeah,
when I
I'm
think
sure.
about that, you know,
Yeah.
it gave me something, but I think it probably did a lot to save our relationship too. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, so that was deep. Thank you. Sorry for that, but those were really good years, but they were hard years as well, and I just want to make sure we're honoring the truth of that. So, hey,
Yeah.
I got a don't be shy message.
Okay.
If I can transition before we wrap up,
Yep.
you know, in episode, I think it was 10, I'd asked you if you had if you were into Zach Bryan. I told you I was getting a little bit back into the country scene, really digging the Zach Bryan music. And Meredith heard that. Meredith, OG crew, Girl Crew Meredith says,
Yeah.
Jamie, I love that you're giving country music a go. Here are some of my faves right now. And specifically, she wanted to know if you've been listening to any of these people. She said, Cody Jinks, fun fact, his given name is Meredith. She said, the kids and I just saw him in St. Augustine at the amphitheater. So she is really, really wanting me to check out Cody Jinks. Don't know if you've listened to him.
I have not know who he is though. Yes.
Okay. Parker McCollum. He's from Texas.
Oh yeah, no Parker.
Okay.
Parker's big right now. Parker is big.
Okay. So she and the kids just went and saw him at UCF. So like they were there Saturday night. So I got to check him out. And then Red Clay Strays, which interestingly enough, Chris's best friend, Mark, Mark, he sent me a text like a month ago and said, I want you to listen to these guys. I think you're going to like them. So that's Red Clay Strays, as in like a stray cat. Megan Maroney, and then Ashley Cook, who apparently is also a Florida girl per Meredith. And then she just ends it, happy listening, Meredith.
Yep. Yep. There's a big festival coming up next. I think it's next May. It's in Oklahoma, but it's a 3-day billboard of just top stars. I mean, it's Park McCullum's going to be there. I'll send you the flyer because it would be a good venue to go to. You know, Kevin Hankins, the little guy that does all the AV work for me at the lake.
Oh yeah.
His boy, Mac Hankins, has, he started playing some gigs in and around Winsboro right before we left. And, he was featured at Billy Bob's the other day, but he's going to be at this. He's actually running around. Well, he knows Coe Wetzel. He knows all the Texas boys. So, but very youngster, probably 20 years old right now, and just making it big on the scene. So I'm going to send this to you, and then we can forward it maybe and post it to Meredith and let her see the number of acts that are going to be at this little 3-day gig. So
right on. All right.
Okay. Well, I know we're going to conclude this and hang up on this. I do need to visit with you just a couple seconds after we hang up, but other than that, it was a good show and good catch up. And I'm glad you had the hard part today. So, that was good to catch up on that time frame. So
your stuff is coming, Dad. We got a lot of drama coming your way. So,
oh, I know it. I can feel it building.
Ooh, baby.
Feels like, yep. TROUBLE.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, episode 12, Dad.
Episode 12 in the books.
In the books. All right, I love you.
Say hello to everybody. Love you too. See you soon.
Talk soon. Thank you for tuning in today. With so many podcasts out there, we are grateful you chose to spend your time with us.
And we'd love to hear from you. So send us your questions, comments, and feedback to info@twoclicksinapod.com, and we might feature your message in a future episode.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social and head over to our YouTube channel where you can watch the full episode live and in living color. You can find us at 2 Clicks in a Pod. That's 2, as in the number, clicks in a pod.
Well, James, until next time, love you.
Love you too, Daddy.